Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to New York State Bridge Authority meeting. But before we have our regular meeting, we have a Finance Committee meeting first, and Audit Committee. All right. Finance, our Chairman, Rod Dressel, is not here today. Roger, you be acting chairman.
Could I make a suggestion, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman?
you may.
Why don't we have both committees meet at the same time as a committee of the whole, acting on behalf of Audit and Finance, since both of them are reviewing pretty much the same set of information.
Everybody agree to that?
Excellent idea.
All right. Okay, so we'll have both committees meet. Roger, you still be the chair and move forward.
All right, Mr. Chairman, then we'll have a motion to adopt the minutes of both Finance and Audit Committee meetings.
Of April 18th.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So the first item is the operating budget, which we're required to review, and there was a resolution. Does this get passed along to the full board?
Yes.
We're just going to make a recommendation.
So everyone's had an opportunity to look at this. Is there a motion to move it to the full board?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is the bridge system net revenues. Same situation. Is there a motion to move this along?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next up, budget and finance plan. Any questions about this at this point? We'll save for the full meeting.
Actually, this isn't for the full meeting. If you'll note on this document that we circulate this and leave it for public comment. On the last page of this document, I threw in an extra item which will not go out. It's a rough overview of our financial position over the next few years, and what it effectively reflects is when we will need to consider our options as the capital program, the rough 20-year program that we have that we keep for administrative purposes shows the maintenance reserve fund balance running down in 2019. And that would be associated with the redecking of the north span of the third beacon.
So this doesn't need any action, then?
Not at this time.
Okay. And finally, is a recommendation to hire the internal auditor. Is there a motion for this?
So moved.
Second? Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? No opposition? Any other business? Motion to adjourn both committees?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn, Mr. Chairman, back to you.
Thank you very much. You did a great job.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to open up the New York State Bridge Authority meeting, our regular board meeting, September 19th. We're going to introduce our commissioners. On my left, going around the table, will be Dane Lashwa. We have our Assistant Executive Director, Tara Sullivan. We have our Commissioner, Roger Higgins. We have Commissioner Joseph Maglia. We have our counsel, Mr. Whitback. And we have our Executive Director, Joseph Ruggiero, and myself as Chairman, Richard Gerantine. Saying all that, I'd like to adopt the regular board minutes for August 15th.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next, we have administration. Regarding New York State OGS fuel contract.
Good afternoon.
Robert?
The New York State Office of General Services fuel contracts were recently awarded, and typically the authority adopts the use of these fuel contracts for its purposes because OGS goes out on behalf of all of the agencies in the state with a high volume discount, and so typically they have multi-year awards. This year they went out for a 1-year renewal or a 1-year award, and the two that were awarded were the fuel oil and the diesel fuel. from August, from the middle of August out through August of 2014. For our facilities, for fuel oil, heating fuel, the contract was awarded to Heritage Energy. And for the diesel fuel, the Mid-Hudson Bridge and the two bridges to the north were awarded to Heritage Energy. And then for Newburgh and Bear Mountain, the award for diesel went to Global Montello Group. And so we have a resolution for you to approve the use of the ODS contract for the procurement of our fuel as needed through the heating season, and obviously through the vehicle fuel that we need for our big diesels. I'll have to probably come back to you next month for the gasoline because they haven't awarded, as of when the mailing went out, they hadn't awarded a contract yet for regular unleaded gasoline. But we'd like to take care of these two today.
So moved.
Second.
But this one, seems to be some really big variances in prices between, what accounts for that?
I think it's just, I think it's regional. I mean, it's just a matter of where they're receiving, what port they're receiving their fuel, and where they're transporting to and from. It's just like anything else in the area. If you go up to Port Ewan here, you'll probably pay 30 cents less a gallon than you pay in Highland. Same thing if you go down to Newburgh. In Orange County, the fuel prices are much lower. So, I think it's more regional than anything, but beyond that, it's just an educated guess for me.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Robert. Next, Monroe.
Good afternoon, everyone. A nice short agenda for you today. Our first item is a memorandum of understanding with an outfit called SICK. That's an acronym. They manufacture a number of different pieces of equipment, but the system we're looking at today is an automatic vehicle classification setup. So they'd like to use our Newburgh Beacon Bridge as a prototype installation venue to see how they can calibrate the system to work on U.S.-based traffic. This system's been in use in Europe for some time. So it's a no-cost memorandum of understanding. They'll install everything, test it, develop the software, and then turn the equipment over to us at the end of the trial period if we'd like to implement that as part of the development of our AET system in the future. Frank Mazzella and his guys, provided some assistance for the electric and the communication hookup, but that's our and then maintenance of traffic during the installation. But that's our only real commitment for this MOU. So Carl Whitbeck's office has reviewed the terms of the agreement, and SICK has reviewed it and accepted those the agreement as well. So with your authorization,
And then provided your insurance certificates.
Right. So Bill, at the end of the term, we have the option to continue it at no cost and take it over? Or?
They get the equipment.
They give it, okay.
right.
Any other discussion?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Thank you.
Next.
We did run a an RFP for a new fuel management system for the fuel we just bought under Bob's contract with OGS. The existing fuel management system is almost 20 years old, and we can't get parts to service it anymore. So we went out for a design-build assignment. Also included in the fuel management system is a vehicle monitoring system. It uses GPS to track the vehicles and as well as report mileage when it's time for an oil change, and all the routine systems available from the UB2 port on the vehicle. So we got on the second page there 5 proposals, quite a spread. Unfortunately, American Petroleum, their equipment did not meet our performance specifications. So we're recommending accepting the bid from Environmental and Fueling Systems LLC from Troy, New York, at $452,846. This includes all new pumps as well as the fuel dispensing and vehicle management system.
What was wrong with American Petroleum products?
Well, a couple things. The vehicle tracking system, the primary reason for rejecting their bid was the operating cost for their GPS system was $50,000 a year, as opposed to a little under $9,000 for the EFS system. So within a 5-year period, we would exhaust the savings from the initial build-out, and then we'd continue to pay $50,000 a year for the vehicle tracking system. So with a 10 to 15-year service life on this system, we figured it's going to be cheaper within 5 years to accept the system from EFS, which is a fully integrated system and meets all of our performance specifications.
Is there an effort or a way to integrate the data from this system into our financial and our operating systems? I mean, is there any consideration for that, or is it going to be a standalone?
It's currently envisioned as a standalone, but it's going to greatly enhance our ability to do reporting from a couple of perspectives, both from a control in terms of where vehicles are utilized, as well as our current system, the ability to report from it is diminished because it's actually not functioning in a couple of facilities at this time. Okay, so it's going to give us back reporting capability.
It does have an SQL database, though, so if the need for data over does arise, we would have the ability to program it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Any other questions? If not, we'll move it.
Will we accept? So.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next,
Thank you.
capital plan?
Next up is the big item, our 5-year capital plan for the next 5 years. This plan is very consistent with our 20-year plan that we looked at routinely. As you can see, the bulk of the money goes to the Newburgh Deck project over the next 2 years, and then it's fairly light in the last 3 years of the 5-year term. And it's a total of $146,555,000 for the 5-year term. This has also been reviewed by independent general consultant Majeski and Masters for meeting the needs of the system, and they agree with it.
Any questions? If not, someone move it.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Last one, jobs in progress?
Finally, our jobs in progress. We're underway with the navigation lights on the walkway. And next month, if you'd be interested in a meeting down at Newburgh, we should be underway with our first deck panel installation by this time next month. Everything else is
Yeah, that's
Will be
down.
Newburgh. Try to commute for you.
Yeah. Can walk.
Is that agreeable to everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jennifer making.
It's in the maintenance garage, or it's in the
it's in the main office.
main office? Okay.
Yeah. I should mention we have some deck repairs going on up at Kingston later this month, and we'll be again nearly exhausting our on-call maintenance and repair money for this year. So probably in the spring we'll come back and ask for an adjustment in our. It's a 3-year term for on-call emergency repair and bridge and highway repair. So we're keeping them busy, but everything's in good shape so far.
Any questions? If not, a motion to move that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, Bill.
Great, thank you.
Brian?
Okay, first up is the monthly investment report. There are 5 investments in the month of August. We're starting to see, although modest, increases in interest rates, especially in the 18-month time frame, as we see approximate yield to maturity rise into the 0.25 and 0.28% range. Basically, those 5 investments are reflected in the investment inventory for the month. Note that the maintenance reserve fund and the construction fund contain approximately $105 million. Approximate yield percentage for the period through July has maintained at 0.35%.
Any questions? If not, we'll move it.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Operating budget?
Next up is the operating budget. As required by Section 2801 of Public Authorities Law, the authority must submit its operating budget to certain government officials. Effectively, the operating budget was prepared under the assumptions that toll revenue will remain fairly constant at $54 million even. Total revenue drops slightly from $56 million to $55.5 in 2013 and $55.3 in 2014, associated with reductions in the federal grant programs. Total operating expenses for the period increased to 29.8 from 28.2 in 2012. The largest single item increase is $0.6 million for maintenance and repairs. This largely relates to maintenance on our electronic equipment associated with the command center, as well as the 2012 winter was less significant than the 2013. 2013 was much colder, and we incurred incremental costs there. Other items to note, employee retirement went up $0.3 million as contributions to the employee retirement, to the New York State and local retirement system increased year over year. That's kind of a summary of where it is. This document represents the operating budget, which includes extra items such as, or additional items over and above the bridge system net revenues, which includes depreciation, equipment procurement, as well as the GASB 45, the employee post-retirement benefits cost. All three of those are considered non-cash or non-resolution related expenditures, and we'll talk about that when we get to bridge system net revenues in the next item.
Any questions?
So moved.
I have a couple. First of all, salaries of employees, what's our head count of employees 2013?
Well, we estimate that it's going to continue to be approximately roughly 167, 168 full-time equivalents. We continue to see a transition to a larger percentage of casual collectors from full-time collectors. There are some relatively immaterial changes as it relates to staffing as we staff the command center.
Mm-hmm. So basically stable.
From a full-time equivalent basis, yes, but as we go, and we for example, I believe we've recently seen a full-time toll collector retire from our Newburgh facility, and as we replace those hours with part-timers, we're replacing it with more than one part-timer, mm-hmm. So the total heads increase, but the full-time equivalents remain roughly constant.
Secondly, workman's comp, I see a big jump of 258,000.
Well, workers' comp, we continue to go and experience a number of issues related to our accident experience had forced us to initiate a change in procedure where Tara had began efforts as part of the safety committee. Unfortunately, those efforts don't really impact our current year premium or next year's premium. They won't impact until next year in October. So the window for workers' comp claims that impact our policy experience stops for the coming year as of March 31st, 2012. There's a lag to it. We did see a noticeable increase during that time period of accidents that the authority's policy paid claims on. So it's not only the element where the authority's carrier pays out, but there are also some claims that are self-insured as well. We have seen a substantial increase. A lot of it had to do with previously we had seen an experience modification, as it's called, in the 0.9% or 0.9 range, which meant a 10% reduction in premium. For the coming year, which I'll be bringing to the board next month, we're now up to a 1.12% experience mod, which is a 12% increase. Okay, on 270-something thousand for total cost, it starts to become significant.
Brian hit on a key point that we have rolled out a series of initiatives this past year about worker safety and training, and we've actually seen, how many months was it we went without an accident?
We're on our 5th accident-free month now, which is the first time in
decades.
In addition to that, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, we've gone and now seen roughly a 50% reduction in accidents year over year for the time frame. The effort, Tara's efforts in trying to go and educate the staff and make them aware of behaviors can really impact this has been very successful.
Now, you have to understand, too, that when we had that increase, we're talking about half a dozen more injuries. It's not a lot of injuries. Half a dozen, and they're high liabilities.
They're high-risk jobs.
Right. If you hurt your back, it opens up a liability of over $700,000. So that brings our experience rating way up. What we hope through this safety training is people really understand that those kinds of injuries are the most important to prevent so that they aren't really hurt.
I mean, that's happening in a lot of businesses, especially in the construction area.
Yeah.
But there again, it sounds like you have a handle on it, and hopefully we'll see some savings in the future.
We just awarded the staff about a month ago with
Incentive.
And we have little incentives, little canteens that were given out for good safety records, and the bridges are in competition with one another, and we have different things out there, so we're got everyone focused on the message. And
Yeah,
we're
very
seeing
clear.
some positive results, which is hopefully
Really
we'll be able
great.
to carry through to the end of the
Employees
year.
totally get it because it's in their best interest to stay safe and injury-free.
Brian, you said this, the insurance company doesn't take it into account for 2 years after experience?
The period in which we go, well, I believe it's a 3-year window
3-year
with a roughly 18-month lag on it. So the last claims that we would have in this period, the period that I'm going to bring to the board next month, ended in March of 2012. So then it would be 3 running years, and they run things based upon levels of exposure for the loss. Okay, we've made significant efforts in trying to manage the losses, both from a preventative perspective, as well as we retain consultants who review our loss experience to identify opportunities to close out claims and improve our experience rating.
One last point. We have an aging workforce nationwide, and we're no exception. And that can produce more injuries. So another reason for good training for everyone to just change their habits as they get older.
Any other questions? Thank you. All, someone move this?
They moved
Move in second.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Bridge system net revenues?
Yes, as required by Section 7.13 of the bond resolution, the authority must submit its bridge system net revenues to the trustee for the bondholders. Essentially, this is the same document as the operating budget. The difference is specifically being the GASB 45 provision for post-employment benefits for employees, the depreciation, and the equipment purchases. If you look, really, it reflects a relatively similar financial statement. Effectively, the revenues remain the same. The only difference is really in the operating expenses category. From this perspective, operating expenses increased $2 million even, roughly equivalent to the operating budget. If you look at this in comparison to our interest costs, because we're focused on the net revenue requirement, we have excesses over the net revenue requirement of $10 million and $10.5 million and $9.5 million respectively. The net revenue coverage ratios are 2.69 and 2.60 respectively.
Move.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Okay. The last item up is the award for the third year of the 3-year contract to our existing internal auditor. We've been satisfied with the performance of this auditor. In the past 2 years, we originally awarded it in September of 2011. A copy of the engagement letter is attached, and the proposed fee is consistent with the original proposal.
So moved.
Just a quick question. Did they estimate, it looked like they estimated maybe 100 hours? Is that it?
There really aren't.
Pretty inexpensive, actually.
It's relatively inexpensive. Remember, the internal auditor is responsible for assisting the authority in its assessment of internal controls, so they're relatively reasonable in comparison to the full financial audit that helps us develop our financial statements. This is really to go through and assist, us in making sure that the authority is executing internal controls appropriately. Okay, so not as many hours would be required. It is a relatively inexpensive. Actually, believe it or not, this is actually more expensive than the annual audit, but it's relatively few hours.
Any other questions? If not, roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Nancy? Workplace contract amendment?
Good afternoon. This has to do with the amended contract for the workplace for 2013. We've made a couple changes, including a not-to-exceed clause, which we added to maintain a little control over the expenditures, and we'll have more oversight over all ancillary testing. In addition to that, in light of the fact that the past 3 years we've averaged a little over $33,000 a year, we felt that a more realistic amount would be a $35,000 not to exceed for 2013.
Move it.
So moved.
Second. Any questions? Roll call. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. No information technology. Operations.
We received the invoice from the New York State Thruway Authority for the second quarter for Easy Pass expenses. It's in the amount of $868,653.17. Mike Savosky and Wayne Ferguson both looked over the numbers, and they found them to be accurate. We'd like to be able to pay the bill.
So moved.
Questions? Roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Joseph?
I have no expenses to report to the board. You have the August 2013 traffic and revenue analysis report. It's prepared by Passes. And the Easy Pass sales are still going strong. Can't keep them on the shelves long enough. We're actually beginning to see some shift in the Easy Pass transactions, as even reflected in the last report. Some substantial beginning to have an impact. So it's a good program.
Any questions for Joe? Thank you, Joe. Next, any presentations to the board? No? You sure? Old business? New business?
Maybe under old business. Did you have your meeting, you and Bill, with the architect who wants to do something with the walkway? Or was it...
We had a meeting. Somebody has a concept of what they would like to do. We haven't heard back. So, it's still a grand plan. Let's leave it at that.
Are you going to make any comments about the candy? Oh.
Right, we had a visit from our friends in Japan on maintenance of long-span suspension bridges. They brought some candy. Yes, we'd like to try anything unusual.
Why don't you tell us about the visit that they came on for and what you...
Well, they built a lot of new suspension bridges in Japan over the last 20 years, and they're looking to the Bridge Authority as one of the few long-span bridge engineers that does a good job maintaining their suspension bridges. So we gave them a few pointers on things that work and things to watch for, and invited us to come visit anytime you'd like to.
Well, we're meeting over there.
But they have some world-class bridges and really outstanding engineering achievements, so we're just looking to make wise investments, like bridge washing, routine maintenance, preventive maintenance. So we shared with them our program, and they were very impressed.
Any chance they're going to open museums in the case lines or in the?
Well, we didn't touch on museums. That's a good question.
They could offer the candy and increase revenue that way.
maybe I'll write to him and ask him.
There you go, yes. Carl, any attorney-client privilege?
No.
Anything else? If not, a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, our next meeting is October 17th at 3 p.m. Probably be held in Newburgh, but we will confirm that. There's a public notice out regarding that, correct? All righty, thank you very much.